Hey there. Good snowy Friday to those in the Chicagoland area. This is Putting the Real in Real Estate, and today's subject is my favorite. That's not how it works. So, this is the segment where we like to kind of bust a lot of myths we hear in real estate. And this week, my specific topic is saving money. I think there's a lot of a lot of ways that it looks like you're saving money, but it can cost you a lot. And people often, it's confusing. There's a lot to this. So um, one of the ways is I'm just going to wait. Prices are high, interest rates are high. I'm going to wait. Well, if you had said that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you would have found yourself in a situation where it's worse. Interest rates are worse by far than they were 5 years ago. But they're also not any better than they were, not much better than they were at their highs. So they've come down a little bit from the highest points. But anybody who bought at the highest point, you do have an option typically after about 6 months or so, if the rates come down, to refinance and adjust that. But the prices have gone up so much in that time that it's not even just that it's not savings, it's an incredible cost. So and the same thing happens typically with move up buyers. Prices tend to go kind of in a ratio, percentage wise. So if you are in a smaller, less expensive house and you would like to be in a bigger, more expensive house, that bigger, more expensive house has probably gotten exponentially more expensive while you've been waiting. When I first started in this business, there were a lot of people who were locked into their house, the wrong house, because they had bought at a higher price, and some of them couldn't sell because they didn't have the cash to bring to the table to sell their house. But many of them just wouldn't because they didn't want to take a loss on something that they saw as an investment. Many of them lost an opportunity to buy a house at a really low price and gain the equity on the other side. And again, especially if they were moving up, that would have been even more money. So the people who waited, whether they waited for prices to come down, or they waited for interest rates to come down, or they waited for something that they were working on, like paying off debt or saving, you cannot outsave what happened in the market in the past couple of years. Now, if you had a real issue where you had to take care of some debt in order to, qualify, that makes sense. There's some times when this makes sense. But if in the meantime you're paying rent, $2,000 a month rent, that's $24,000 a year, $50,000 in 2 years, $75,000 in 3 years. Yeah, I know I'm rounding up, but that's all gone. So had they bought a house, gained $100,000 in equity, $200,000 in equity in a lot of markets we're seeing in that amount of time, they'd be a lot further along. The statistics Hamilton of Rate did a great sorry, Tammy's buzzing me. Did a great video the other day where he talks about the price of waiting, and it's really good. Look it up. I'm going to ask him to do a Facebook Live with me and go over those numbers because it's just astounding. Now, we all know that the market can go up and down. It's not always going to be a couple of years that you're going to gain a tremendous amount of equity like we have in the past few years. If you want to sell at the top of the market, this is the time to do it because this is the top of the market. This is the highest it's ever been. We don't know where it's going from here. could still go up, but it could not. And we say this over and over again, but it just is so true. And I think people get confused with all of the noise and all of the headlines. Waiting costs you money. There's an old adage, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. If there's a downturn in the market, which we don't see coming in our area in the near future, as long as you can weather that, you'll be fine on the other side of it. They're not making any more land. And so I think it's always a long-term good investment. Plus, you want to be living your life in the place that serves your life. So if you're not, let's look at that. But I hate to hear people waiting to save money. It's going to cost you a lot. And that hurts us. We've been talking about this with my team a lot this week. The other thing is saving money on who you hire. You can save money on who you hire to fix your car or fix something in your house. And you've probably had experiences where that didn't go very well. I've done some DIY projects to save some money and ended up costing myself an awful lot when I had to bring in a professional to fix what I broke. So one of the things we see is people looking at our fee as a cost rather than what does that do to help me bring my sales price or even purchase price into line to give me the best chance for success. So sometimes agents charge a lot less than we do. There's a reason for that. We charge very competitive fees because of what we do and what our results are. So I was looking at a situation this past week in a market that I know well, where someone just listed a house identical to a similar house that closed earlier in the week, might have even had a little edge on it. And they listed for $100,000 less than that house sold for. Now, they listed with a brokerage whose marketing is all about how little they charge sellers. So I don't know exactly what happened. I'm not privy to the details of that situation, but I can tell you that I know fully there are agents who will meet somebody in October and give them a price for their house. And then when they list 6 months later, that's the price they list at without ever revisiting what's happening in the market. Or there are agents who do what we call the 3 Ps. That is, put it in the MLS, put a sign in the yard, and pray that it sells. We guarantee, as much as that can happen, that we always get our clients the most money for their house based on their specific situation. And we can do that because we have paid advertising and marketing that goes out to tens of thousands of people. So anybody who's interested in the house sees it, and that's how we know we get the most. If you have your house hidden under a bushel and 3 or 4 people come to see it and one of them buys it, you'll never know if you could have gotten more if it had been marketed more widely. So not to say that, anything that it's guaranteed that you would get more, but you would be guaranteed to get the most that you can get in that market for that house in its condition. And the other thing is that the condition really matters. I've recently shown a couple of houses where I don't know whether the agent didn't advise the seller or the seller didn't take the agent's advice, but there were little things that could have been done that would have presented the house to the buyers in a much better way. And as a result, those sellers most certainly would have made more money on the sale. So saving isn't necessarily going to help you walk away from that house with the most money in your bank account. Same thing will happen if you need new flooring and you choose the cheapest option. Buyers are going to be able to tell that when they walk in. If you have your 13-year-old nephew do the painting, it might be cheap, but it's not going to save you money because you're not going to get the kind of return that a paint job can get you. So there's a lot of facets. I always say that the equation when selling your house is not subtraction, it's algebra. So people like to say, well, there's this number at the top. I subtract your fee and any other fees, and then I end up with this number. But this number at the top is X. There's that, what that might be is a very wide range. So in order to hit the top of it, you need to do a few things right. And probably, I'm going to pat myself on the back. The most important thing you have to do is hire the right realtor. So the other thing is carrying costs. If your house is sitting on the market, not only is its value going down in a buyer's eyes, but you're paying for all of the things that you pay for while you're holding onto that house. So we want to make sure people are doing the right math with the right numbers and coming up with the right conclusion, either on the buy side or the sell side. Have conversations with us. Let us know what you're thinking. We're not going to push you into anything you don't want to do. We're just going to counsel you, help you understand all of it and understand really how it works, not how people think it works. So talk to you soon.